Ross.
And I'm AJ Finney.
And this is
Hippie?
Not Hippie. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 28 of Hippie, Not Hippie.
Yeah! All right. Today, live at the Vail Comedy Festival, everyone. Super excited to be here.
Is that the Vail Comedy Festival?
The Vail Comedy Festival.
That happens every Memorial Day weekend?
Every Memorial Day weekend.
And Mark Masters puts it on?
Mark Masters. Vail Comedy Festival every Memorial Day weekend. Please check it out. Also, thank you to the 10th Mountain Whiskey. We're here in the tasting room for opening it up. And
it's good.
It's good. It's a good whiskey.
I just tried it. It's great.
Better than the Boom Tea.
Yeah, it's good. It's
All right. Good. And also joining us, we have two amazing guests with us. Leah Bonnema.
Yes, thrilled to be here. Really? You crushed it.
Crushed it. You may have seen her on the God damn it, did so well. You may have seen her on Stephen Colbert's The Late Show. And Bailey Pope. Did I say that properly?
I really did.
All right. Bailey Pope from New York City. I could try. Pope Bailey.
There we are.
It sounds really good. Like you are the
Pray
Pope.
to me.
Yeah. And Bailey has a monthly comedy punk show in New York City. Thank you very much for taking the time to be here with us this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome. It's going to be a fun fest.
Yeah.
We like to, get plugs out of the way right up top so that people hear them, and don't just shut it off at the end. So, this is coming out on Wednesday. So what all would you like to let the people know about?
At the moment, where am I? Oh, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh and Cleveland next weekend, and then otherwise, just look up Fun Gutter. That's my monthly show.
Okay.
Every month, it's like a different punk band. It acts as our house band. They kind of stay on and play the comics on and off, and it's kind of like a dive bar kind of gross punk rock energy, and it's everything
fun.
I
love
want
it.
it to be.
I love the idea of a house band playing you on and off, almost like an SNL or something.
Yeah, you can have the weirdest low energy people, and it doesn't bring the show down, and so we can put on all the people we love without worrying about speed as much.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that there's the term house punk band.
It sounds so much more thought out than it actually is.
Well, yeah, it seems like almost anti-punk in a way.
It is. Just a bunch of dirtbags just trying to be organized.
Awesome.
Next week, I don't know what date it is today, but June 18th, that's a Sunday, I'm headlining Mic Drop Comedy Gold Room in San Diego, if you're listening in Southern California.
Yeah.
And then in July, a short film that I co-wrote and co-starred in called The Dons is in the Austin Comedy Film Festival and the Oregon Short Festival. So if you're in either of those places, I'm going to go and try to find people to give me money to make it into a full film. So if you're listening and you just want to throw cash my way, here I am.
Yeah, if you're not going to any of those places, but you just have money and you want to...
I will take that money.
Venmo that money.
Yeah. And if you have money to give away like that, spread it around. Give some to all of us.
Is that why you came to Vail?
We'll fucking take it.
Rich people? Yeah.
I just have a little change box. Did you want to make a film?
Yeah. Yeah, we should move this speaker closer to the door and just spend the whole podcast asking people for money.
You look like you have money.
Hell yeah. AJ, what do you got going on?
Next, this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I will be in Bloomington, Indiana, at the Limestone Comedy Festival. Super excited to be back at there. Yeah.
Love that fest.
It's super fun. What a wonderful festival. And Zach, what do you have going on? Something big?
I'm headlining Comedy Works June 8th. Come. Fucking please, come. It should be great. And then the Black Hills Comedy Festival is kicking off the last week of June, the 22nd through the 24th. So if you're in South Dakota, come to that.
Yeah.
Fun.
Super excited for
Both
that. That's a
people
fun
that are
festival.
Be in South Dakota.
What's that?
Both people in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, it's a super fun fest. It's a really good hang. And Lake Day, I think, is probably my favorite, where people are really hungover a lot of times. And you're going, will they sink or swim?
That's like one of the states. I feel like I've got like 5 or 6 states I haven't been to, and it's the Dakotas are 2 of them.
Yeah, I have 6. I have 6 left. What are your? Or I have 8 left. What are your?
Montana, the Dakotas. I was just trying to figure this out because I went to Alaska and Idaho in the last 2 months, and Hawaii is one of them. I think that maybe
Have you done
Mississippi.
Delaware?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, I drive so much leaving New York that I've been to every shitty state up in that corner.
Okay. A lot of people I've talked to have done like 49. Delaware seems to be a very common state that people haven't done. But you're like,
shouldn't.
that's my neighborhood. You know, you're like, I had to. But that's cool. Well, we'll have to have you out to South Dakota sometime.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, super fun, especially in that area where it's happening in the Black Hills near like the Needles and all that stuff. It's
Sounds so
So
cool.
metal.
It really is. Yeah, metal.
Black Hills. It's like AFI album.
The Black Hills.
Yeah.
Live in South Dakota.
They played a show there when I was like in the 90s.
I believe it.
Yeah, we actually had a really cool punk scene in Rapid City, South Dakota. There's this guy Judah who owned the record store, and he brought a ton of like really good bands through.
You know, it's funny. Actually, I knew a band from Sioux. Is it Sioux City or
Sioux
Sioux
Falls?
Falls?
Sioux Falls.
I grew up in church, and I like was into like Christian metal as a thing. And there was a really great Christian metal band from Sioux Falls called Nodes of Ranvier. And they're still good, and they're still good.
Were you an MXPX person?
No, but like I knew of them.
I mean, that was the one band that I knew that was kind of punk Christian a little bit.
Yeah, and you're
like
so
a little
cheesy.
too pop
It's
for
so
me.
Little bubblegummy.
It's so cheap. They're actually going to be on a fest that I'm going to, like a music fest I'm going to in the summer. And they're headlining after a bunch of really hardcore fucking metal ass bands. And then they're going to get up there and be like, I'm a chick magnet. Fuck
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Well, they're just getting up late to go, hey, we're going to put you to bed now.
So have you ever heard of a band called Resin?
No.
That was my favorite band that came out of Rapid City. They're Resin. They were this hardcore band, and my favorite show of theirs that I saw, the lead singer came out in a full Easter Bunny costume.
Perfect.
With the microphone duct taped into the face hole of the Easter Bunny, and then it had like one of those really tall British like guy hats on. You know,
British.
Like what are they called?
Don't tell them.
Yeah. I like bands like, do not tell.
If anyone knows, no, but a tall British man
if you
hat.
know the
British
answer,
man
call
hat.
in.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this really happened or if it was a heroin nightmare.
I didn't do heroin, but no.
Just a nightmare then.
But so then the big old British guy hat on the Easter Bunny, over the ears, and then there was already an exercise bike out on the stage.
Oh, good.
And the Easter Bunny just like came out like raw and hopped on the exercise bike and was riding that exercise bike
While
so
singing?
fast. Yeah, while singing
You
in the
gotta
Easter
stay
Bunny
active.
costume.
Yeah.
The bike falls over on the ground, just keeps pedaling, doesn't stop,
Jesus.
rides the bike off the stage, spinning around on the floor. Yeah, Resin fucking ruled.
It was like 2002 with like that.
That's like 96.
Okay, yeah. There was a band called Locust in Southern California, and they would all come out with. For a while, it was Locust heads, and then they started doing presidential masks. They would just do their whole set as different presidents, and it was just like that time
Big fans
period
of
of
Point
metal.
Break.
Everybody would like. They just couldn't rely on being loud. They were like, well, who are we though?
I feel more like Nixon.
Yeah. You always get to be JFK.
Well, here's a kind of a question that we like to ask right off the bat just to kind of gauge you. What was like your first experience or memory of things hippie or encountering a hippie, and what kind of connotation did that have for you?
I feel like I didn't realize they were hippies. I just thought we weren't allowed to throw anything away. And let me tell you, when I was like, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to throw shit away like a fucking American. My mother, there's nothing in our house that she hasn't had since the 60s. Wash it, put it back in a drawer. You know what I mean? Bags. My boyfriend came to visit and he's like, do you have a Ziploc bag? And she's like, yeah, there's a drawer. And he opened it. They've been washed to death. He goes, how do I know what should go? She goes, smell them. Like she wants you to smell the bag and match it up with is that a cheese? And you know what I mean? We composted. She tried to pass carob off as chocolate. I had these homemade lunches with sprouts. You know what I mean? And now I appreciate it because I can run my immune system into the ground, and I still got that sprout beginning. And then I remember
the bag germs.
You know what I mean? My parents were literally like, just go sit in the dirt. Like they were those people. I don't feel like I took antibiotics until I was in my late 20s. And then I clearly remember bathing with my parents, which I thought everybody did.
Till what age?
Like 30, 35. You know, when we all stopped fitting in the tub, and I was like, you guys.
We're just touching elbows now, and it's weird.
You know, it's just weird.
Yeah. There's no room for my boyfriend.
It was just COVID. COVID is the only reason you stopped.
If you think my parents, my mom is like, I was worried about her because of she has immune issues. And so I drove up, they live in Maine, I drove up from New York, and my mother was wiping down the house with like an apple cider vinegar. And I go, this is not the time, okay? I want chemicals, I want bleach. You're like giving them the germs a fun place to live. Like, what is
lemon
this?
at the sign. You know?
I can't even.
You're like going to throw a mask away, and she's like, hold on, let me wash that. You can use it again.
It's still good.
Oh, they had like a pile of masks. They're like, just pull one out. I was like, I don't even think we're getting how germs work in this house, you guys.
So at what age did you realize that? Because like it was normal, obviously, for you. At what age did you realize your parents were hippies?
My guess is when you were pulling out the sprouts at school, you're like, I don't think this is normal.
Well, you're just like, I want a Lunchable. You know what I mean? Why?
So you did go to public school?
Yeah, and you know what I mean? Everybody's got the fun lunches, and you're there with like a homemade hummus, and you're like, ah. But now I compost in my own house in an apartment. So you're like, look what happened. Look what happened. I turned into my mother.
Were they vegetarian or vegan?
No, my mother. She's like this very interesting mix of like Italian Christian hippie, which is that's all. But they're like into the hippie side of Jesus. You know what I mean? The hippie Jesus. But she'll be like, I think if we put a little pork in there, it would really make it much. You know what I mean? Like probably my hummus had a little bit of bacon in it.
Oh, so that sounds pretty good. Bacon hummus?
Yeah, she's just everything's just a little bit better.
I know the hummus is good for you, but let's be a little bad today.
I think we should. I don't even think she thinks of it as bad. She's like, you just need a little flavor, and she's a fun lady. Also, I don't have a garden or lawn or any property of my own, so I'm sneaking out late at night. You know, I'm making all this dirt with my. I sneak out late at night and I put in other people's trees and bushes up the whole block.
Well, it's like a reverse like Shawshank kind of situation. Where you're like going out in the yard and just shaking the compost out into the park. You know, like they'll never know.
I feel like I'm like Johnny Applesoil. You know what I mean? I'm just like replanting Hollywood slowly.
There's got to be a neighbor somewhere seeing that and going, every night she's dumping
She's
something.
out there. One of my neighbors saw me, but he was like one of those guys that he's just like cool. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, did you just replant our cool?
Do you recycle?
Yeah, I know that only 10% of things are actually recyclable, but I'm going to give it my best shot and hope that 10 gets in there. You know what I mean?
I don't. I've just said fuck it. I've decided it's organizing trash.
I'll organize the trash.
But I don't plan on having any kids, and it takes like 700 people proactively recycling their entire lives to make up for one kid. So
I'm over here with an IUD, so you're preaching.
That's why you're not. Your footprint is why you're not having a kid.
Can I just mention something really quickly? Do we know that the footprint idea was actually brought up by BP?
Yeah.
So that we would feel responsible for our environmental decisions when really they've just been garbage people
Yeah.
fucking up our planet and be like, oh no, this is because you're not taking care of it. And it's like, oh, it's actually because you guys knew from the beginning that we couldn't recycle, but wanted to make all your money in plastics.
Wow.
And so you made it about the individual instead of you making money off of all of us slowly killing our planet.
Yeah, it's our fault.
Yeah.
I clearly remember dumping thousands of gallons of oil into the ocean.
Into the
Where do
ocean.
you
That was
put
you.
it?
I thought I
Yeah,
recognized
it was.
it.
Sorry. Got me.
I never
Yeah.
know where to put it. You know.
No, it's my fault. I used that metal utensil on that Teflon
Yeah.
pan, and now I'm gonna die of cancer from it.
I've
You know,
literally
like-
just been sneaking out at night and dumping oil on my neighbor's trees.
I will tell you this: I do love the smell of gasoline. I mean, I will
Gas
switch to
hopper.
heat. I will switch to heat pumps and a gas stove. I'm still gonna stand at a pump and take a big whiff. You know what I mean? It's all I got left. It's all I got left.
Have you ever huffed gas?
Huffed it, no, but I've stood by it for a little bit longer than I needed to, just to be like, wow, that smells good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love the idea. Like,
Do you know
have
the definition of huffing?
No, huffing is when you on purpose, you got to lean in on purpose and go, I just like stood there and I was like, oh, what a nice day.
I just like the idea of you having such a good nostril for it, where you're like, smells like ethanol, about 10%.
It almost smells like an 88.
I don't huff anything under 90 octane. All right, premium for me.
Pinkies
Yeah.
up, you know.
Yep.
Well, nice.
All right. Bailey, what about you? First memory of hippies, and how did it
Okay.
affect you?
So I grew up like in like a super religious, like boring family and in Southern California though. And I started getting into like punk and shit like when I was like 13. And all my friends were older, like driver people. And one of our friends lived up in like Lytle Creek, which is just like this weird, crazy like shit town in Southern California, up in the mountains. And we'd go in like a bunch of cars and we'd pull off usually like halfway up the mountain and just smoke like off the side of the road.
Just smoking cigarettes?
Weed.
Okay.
And we were there all the time in like one specific spot, and we always like would dream that like we would just find a bunch of like plants, you know,
Yeah.
like somehow there'd just be a gang of plants out there. And then one week after like we'd been there and we'd been talking about it, there was this big bust of all these plants being found right where we were at. We all lost our minds, and then that was the first time we were like, "Oh wait, we should do that." and so my friend Ryan Rambo, his last name was really Rambo. He lived up there, and he had like there was no rules, you know, like this town in Lytle Creek. There used to be this guy who would like walk around like, holding like a refrigerator. It was on his back, just
like strapped on his back, like, I'm a tough man?
Yeah, like no, like he like didn't want anybody to take it or something. Like it was just crazy people up there.
How-
But it was like either it was like super
Like
methy,
a full refrigerator?
full ass refrigerator.
This is a strong human.
That meth is crazy, you know. It'll give you goals, and so it was like half meth and half hippies up there, and like so I thought all hippies were like this methy version for a long time. I thought that they like really wanted to take care of the planet, but also like they got ideas and you needed to, you
Like
know,
a
fucking-
refrigerator was as much of a
this is-
symbol of hippies as a hemp necklace.
Yeah, I'm not gonna waste it, you know. And so like when I started to learn about like real like hippie like you know like modern day hippie people, I was like, oh, they're so much more chill than the ones I know. And they're like, that's not Lytle Creek is where people like are hiding.
That is
Yeah.
insane. Like just a guy in tie dye with a refrigerator
yeah.
strapped like a jetpack, going, "We gotta save the planet."
A lot of peace, but like a lot of it.
Yeah.
So you started growing weed in the forest.
The friend that lived up there had he started just carrying seeds all the time, and like he'd spread it around when we were like hiking up there.
And you like actually harvested some of these plants?
Some of
like
them,
they made it?
like not much of it, but
Yeah.
like anything that grew at all, we're really doing it.
You get super proud. Look at that
So
sprout.
proud. Like that was 6 months ago we left that there.
Like that was always a dream of mine too, to come across a field of weed. Before I smoked weed when I was young, I found a bunch of weed in the woods by my grandma's house in a fenced-in area, and I was with my dad, and he realized that it was weed, and then was like immediately terrified because he thought that there might be booby traps around. You know, so then we had to like be real careful on our exit because of booby traps. And then once I started smoking weed, I was like, man, I need to find this thing again. But different grandparents' house, I was out walking and I saw like a weed leaf over the fence, and I went and climbed over this fence, and there was like a patch of wild, like just like 20 square feet of just all weed plants. And I was like, I fucking found the mother lode. But at that point, I thought you smoked the leaves or whatever. Like there wasn't any buds on these plants.
Like hollowed out the stem.
Well, I just
made it into a pipe.
I just picked like where the plants were closest, like on the tops, like all over, and then like filled my pockets full of this like wet ass weed, and went back to my grandparents' house, and then was like smuggling it around in used Ziploc bags, and I eventually like dried some out and tried to smoke it, and it didn't do shit. It was total ditchweed or whatever. But
I remember gathering up a bunch of what might have been like stingweed when I was like 11 years old because I thought it was weed. It was some sort of just weed. It was not marijuana. And my dad found it, and he just went, "This isn't what you think it is." And I was like, "Oh, yeah? Yeah? You're trying to fool me?" And he goes, "It's not, do not do anything with that." And I was like, okay, old man.
My parents sent me to this, which should have been a red flag, this camp on how to live in the woods for 2 weeks. I think I was like 7. And
you went for 2 weeks, or it was how to live for 2 weeks?
What happened was it was supposed to be 2 weeks. And then, you had to dig up roots, like learn the roots you could eat. And so I was in the water. They split us up. I was in the water group, so I was getting water in this. It was like a creek ditch, and the people who were digging up roots dug up a wasp's nest, and they jumped the creek. And me and the other girl who were in the creek with the water, I have such a visual memory. They come in like a swarm, and then we're down below in the creek bed, and we just got covered. And I remember watching as like the guy who was out in the woods with us jumped in and then pulled my friends, because they went into her shirt, pulled her shirt off, dunked her, and then we both got dunked, and then we got taken out of the forest.
And that's how you were baptized?
How many
where was this
stings did you
located?
get?
Oh, we're just covered.
Yeah, wow.
What was the geographic location? I'm sorry.
I grew up in Maine,
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
which I love. I love the woods.
Where in Maine?
In the northwest corner, so like between Canada and New Hampshire,
Oh, like
in the White
Bangor-ish
Mountains.
direction.
I love it. I really love the woods. Like you were like, I love the city too, but I love it.
Maine is amazing.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I was there for the first time last summer, and yeah, it was really awesome.
Oh, it's
I don't
so
know, it's
great.
beautiful, beautiful place. I found a ground nest thing of hornets like when I was a kid.
They're the
and,
worst.
And with a friend, and our immediate instinct was like, we need to set this on fire.
For science.
Yeah, so we went and started pouring gasoline into the hole, and
Yeah.
Get them back.
Yeah. Those eyes lit up. Did you say gasoline?
I'm deeply motivated by revenge and gasoline. That's like two things in once.
Yeah, so we start pouring gas in there, and immediately they're like, we're under attack, and they fucking come out in force, and they're chasing us, and we run into my house, and like 4 or 5 of them make it into our house. They chase us. We're like barricaded in my bathroom, and they are like flying into the door. Like they're fucking like
They're insane.
yeah, they're like they're there to kill us, you know. So we make armor out of all the towels in the bathroom. We wrapped like every vulnerable area, you know, and just like a few slits for our eyes, and then we got like hairspray and like all kinds of weapons, you know, and then like came out, you know, like armored and fucking took out the wasps in the house.
Dude, this is crazy. 2 days ago, I was doing laundry at our house, and
It feels like a deep brag.
This is
With
by the way.
gasoline?
No,
By the
it's a
way,
connection.
I was doing laundry in my own home.
This is weird. Yeah, humble brag.
I have appliances. We get it.
I was carrying around this just washer dryer unit and decided this is where I live now. But there was a hornet on top of the washer. So it was like kind of moving around, and I saw it, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to close this and let it work itself out. And then I took a shower, right? I mean, why wouldn't it? The washer's going to move. The bee's going to be like, oh, fuck, I don't want to be in here. And then whatever, when it spins around, spin cycle, it's going to be like, and it's out. It wasn't. I got out of the shower.
Well, you closed the lid.
Yeah, I closed the lid, and I was like, get clean, little
How's
buddy.
it going to get out?
No, but
That's what I'm saying. Hold on. This has a climactic change. So somehow the fucker gets out. I get out of the shower, and it's just like hovering, and now on the floor like it's walking around on the rug, and I was like, God damn it, how'd it get out? And so I took the wet towel and threw it on it, right, to kind of stop it. And then I just smashed for a second. And I was like, I feel bad killing things, I'll be honest. But
in your own house, it's fair.
right. And it is my own house, not to brag.
Shit!
Damn. Yeah.
Hey,
Anyway,
let's be real. It's a condo.
yeah, that's true. Squatters' rights.
Yeah, I'm still impressed.
I'm so impressed.
I slammed my fist down on it, and I was like, okay, let's see the disaster. And I pulled the towel up, and then I missed it completely. And it just started you know how quickly they buzz around when they get pissed off? And so I threw the towel back over it, screamed, it just went, ah! And then just repeatedly punched the fucking floor. As you can see, my knuckle is jacked. And my neighbor,
Yeah, because you needed to
below
use
me,
maximum force.
dude, have you ever freaked out and you just realized I'm doing it too hard? It was terrible. And then when I took the thing off, I got it. I mean, it's a mafia style.
So proud of
No
you.
mercy killing.
Yeah, that was very fucking pen in the neck.
Right. But what I'm saying is, at the end of it, I killed the thing. It's like ass end is still going zzz, 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 zzz. And I was like, you would
shit.
still take me out.
Relentless.
Yeah,
Relentless.
it's like angel lust, but
What is angel lust?
that's like when people get hard when they die.
I think that's priapism.
Never heard that term.
I didn't either, and I feel very weird about it.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of going, is he going to heaven or hell? Better check.
He's pointing up.
It's pointing up. Roll him over. He was a bad man.
I've never been stung by like a bee or a hornet or anything. And do you guys remember My Girl, the movie My Girl?
Yes.
And you know,
Yeah.
like he died. Spoiler alert. He died from like being. I grew up thinking I'm probably allergic. And so I was terrified. Honestly, until probably 10 years ago, I was like, I'm probably gonna die if that thing comes over.
You've never been stung by anything at all?
Any
Or-
any bee or hornet kind of
Wow, I feel like I
Never.
got yours. I got yours and everybody else's.
thing. Thank you.
that one experience, right?
Yeah, in one shot.
Yeah. Does the song "My Girl" play every time you see one? You're like,
I mean, it's just who I am.
Talking about-
Yeah.
It's just a hornet with a little tiny boombox going, I'm coming for you.
Is it like you want to support bees? Like there's a cool pollinator garden where I grew up. We need them there. You know what I mean? You want to have, but then hornets, you're like, I hate you.
Yeah.
I see them. I was in this was in New York. And I heard a noise, and I didn't have pants. I don't know if people wear pants in their own house. I'm against it. And I had no pants on, and I went into the kitchen, and there was bees in the window, and I legitimately shut the door to the kitchen, and I was like, I'm just leaving. Nope.
It's yours now.
Everything I need, I got no pants. I'm walking out, and I'm finding somebody, because I now have this.
I love the idea of you just taking out Pooh Bearing and going, bees! Bees!
I'm done. I will handle everything. I feel like I want to handle things myself or whatever, but I walk in and I'm like, nope. I've been here. I cannot deal with this situation. I'm walking out the building and be like, can somebody get in? I'll wait for days until I can get a hold of a friend.
I'd rather have a mouse in my apartment than a wasp.
So
Oh, me too. I'm fine. They're cute. You put a little sweater on them. Oh my God.
on the way up here today, we were behind a guy pulling a yellow boat painted like a hornet. And on the back, the name of the boat was Murder Hornet. And I saw that and I was like, I hate this fucking guy. I was like, man, I don't even, and it was a really nice boat. And I was like, I don't think I'd ride in that boat. Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, who's that into fucking murder hornets? Like, what the fuck?
I like to think that he like changes the theme every time something else shitty is happening in the world. Because like how recent would you have got like murder? That's a new thing. I feel like, right? And so it was something else before.
Yeah, it was like, or it was like
It was
a nice
Harambe
guy's
for a
boat. And it was
while.
like save the bees, and then like he bought it, and he's like, fuck saving them. I like murder hornets. So, well, shit. You said that you were into punk rock at 13.
Yeah.
Would you say that was the first time you were involved in a counterculture?
Well, okay, so I mean, kind of, but like I started skateboarding when I was 7.
Yeah.
And like growing up, I was always just like I was trying to like look for identities. Like I'm a trans woman, and like growing up, you're like, is this it? Am I this thing?
Yeah.
And so I got really into skateboarding, and it was like great because it was something that I could do alone and everything. And so I think skateboarding is what got me into like music in general. But punk was like punk and metal has always been like a place where like you can just be you, and like it was the first place where I saw that like queer people were like embraced, and on top of it, just the energy. It was something that I like gravitated to.
Do you just still skateboard?
I still have one, and I shouldn't.
I'll longboard now, but like I used to street skate, and I'm like, no, fuck. Like I had a friend come to town. He's like, let's go hit the park, and I was like, park? I'm almost 40. Like, what the fuck are you talking?
I at least once a week, I think I could probably still kickflip.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you along that. I skated for years. First deck.
Oh, my first real deck.
Yeah.
So I had a
Outside of
bunch
the
of like
Nash.
hand-me-downs and like weird things, but I went to a skate demo when I was like 12. And it was like a skate demo to like raise money for a skate park in my hometown. And so they were like, somebody was on this half pipe, and he comes out to the crowd and is about to like throw this board out, and everybody's like, oh, like my board's busted, or like, oh, I haven't gotten a new one. And I was like, I don't have one. And so he hands it to me, and I'm 4 foot nothing at this point, and I'm just surrounded by people that think that they deserve it more. And I got terrified. And so I got this deck. It was by a company called Cash, not Nash. And then I just ran to the security tent and I hung out there for the rest of the day.
I respect so much that you said Cash, not Nash, because I'm not sure of your age, but when I came up, Nash was just like, oh, you're gonna get punked out a lot on the street.
Yeah, your trucks are definitely plastic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had my first one I think was a Lance Underhill. Like a really old PAL board. So I was skating like at the beginning of the 90s, late 80s, where it was still kind of bottom
world.
nose. Yeah. Cab and early Tony Hawk. And I had
Yeah, I had the Glow Santa Cruz outline, and that was the only like name brand. After that, it was all blanks, because like once you start breaking decks, like fuck. My mom, like, she bought me a new like $60 board, and I broke it the same day, and she and like ruined like a $60. Well, because you'd go through shoes really fast too, and she was just like
not Gugon or what was it called? It wasn't not Gugon
or Shugu.
Shugu, yeah,
Shugu, yeah.
You just like patch the holes with big just piles of tar.
Yeah,
and you're like, good as new.
Well, yeah. Or you'd like grab another piece of fabric and put it on there, or duct tape.
I used to duct tape because I was like, if you got duct tape on your ollie foot, pretty badass.
Yeah. And my mom was just like, we're too poor for you to be a skateboarder. and then like a few weeks, because it was illegal when I was a kid, where I grew up in South Dakota, you weren't allowed to skateboard.
No shit.
And they didn't have a skate park. The only place that you were really allowed to do it was on your own property in your driveway.
That's crazy.
And I lived out of town and didn't have, like, there was no concrete where I lived next to like the forest and shit. And there was no concrete. So my uncle built me this ramp that literally was like a ramp to like a 3-foot like kicker that just flew off into the grass. And I would just ride that all day. I'd fucking drop in, ride this little runway up, and just hit this jump and like launch 4 feet into the air into the grass over and over. and eat shit.
Yeah.
Even if you land it, you'd like stop and you'd fall.
You'd land it, it would roll a little bit, and
"Oh."
you'd be like, I stuck it! Ah! And you'd fly off into the grass, and you'd be like, all right, I'm going to hit it
We
again.
used to take, this is so, like, what a posery thing to do. We used to take bike inner tubes, and we would strap them to the bottom of our boards, and then we would haul, and then we just hit a...
To, like, keep it on your feet.
We'd hit a ramp and just pull up on it, and it would stick to our feet, and we'd just be like, yeah!
One of my friends his parents had kind of a like camera that you could take with you, which was like a smaller one.
Like a GoPro?
This is way before. Yeah, there's still like it was like once they
It was a
moved.
camcorder.
Once they moved from the full size VHS to like the smaller VHS or
No
whatever.
longer shoulder mounted.
But like the epic clip that they got is like him and his buddies are skating, and they wanted to get him doing like a handrail. So they're like, we'll hold the board and you run and jump on the board.
God.
And oh god,
Just eat it?
oh he racked himself so hard. The board, like he jumped on it, the board went flying. He immediately dropped, and then and it was
If we think of it afterwards, I'll show you. I have a video of me like at like 15 doing like I have a skate like compilation of me at 15.
oh fuck yeah.
Yeah. Leah, how about you? Skateboard, roller skate, inline, Heelys?
Have you ever been part of a counterculture? Would you say?
I feel like
Aside from pantless people against bees.
I was going to say that my parents are artists.
Yeah.
So I feel like we sort of were always a counterculture, and I didn't really realize it.
What kind of art did they?
They're potters.
Oh, nice.
Did they have a wheel?
Yeah, in our home. Like they work in our home.
Wow.
Well, it's not my home. I don't own property or a washer dryer. But yeah, no, I grew up in like a barn, and that's a real story. And we have a kiln in the backyard and a full tank.
Was your bed made of hay?
No, it was made of pottery. And no, they grew up in actually very, very fundamentalist Christian households, and then hit the hippie movement, moved up to Maine. They were like, we're gonna have a garden, we're gonna be nude, and be artists.
So they were nudists.
No, but I just feel like they were naked people. I remember we used to have Naked Wednesdays where my mother would have...
Hump Day is completely different in your place.
Very different. And my dad and I would be like, all the artists in the town would like pay somebody to model nude.
Okay.
And they would come, and then they would be in the barn, and I feel like when you grow up around naked people, you're like, can you guys put some clothes on?
Yeah.
Where you'd want to be the other person where you're like, I'm comfortable with nudity. I'm like, cover it up, dude. I've been looking at dicks my whole fucking life. If I see another pair of tits walking around this house, and
But you said your rule for home though is no pants.
yeah, no, I turned into my parents.
Do you want to stop by for Bathtub Tuesday?
I do not take baths, so that's where I draw the line. I'm a shower
Your
lady.
shower lady?
But so I feel like that's sort of, if I think about it, that we were, I thought everybody grew up like that.
You had the potter's wheel. Was there ever a moment where maybe you and a partner were like,
Nope.
have you seen Ghost?
Nope. And also, I hadn't seen Ghosts. Wasn't allowed to watch
Ghosts?
Television?
television. Well, I was allowed to watch. My mother didn't like roles for women that was portrayed in the media, so I wasn't
Okay.
allowed to watch anything except for sci-fis and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood until I was like 22.
Whoa.
Wow.
Until 2022?
Yeah,
Sci-fi actually one of the most progressive genres.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
they're
you
like,
were-
we're in the future.
So like a
Things
doctor,
are
you were
better.
into like Doctor
Well,
Who?
we did like a lot of the original Star Treks.
Okay. Those originals are great.
They're
They're
fantastic.
so good.
And I'm now I'm like a sci-fi fantasy. I feel like all my favorite roles were always like ladies in sci-fi movies. You know what I mean?
Who are some of your favorites?
Angela Bassett, and I'm going to blank on every name, and I'm going to be like, hey, do you
Wow.
guys know that I have altitude sickness?
And I've been carrying around this refrigerator.
I've been carrying
lost
around
the
this
word.
small refrigerator, but not because I need it, but I just love working out. And I mean, obviously, Alien.
Oh, yeah.
We had Starbuck, Katie Sackhoff in Battlestar Galactica.
yeah.
I wish I could remember the movie that Angela Bassett was in. It's in the future.
Whenever I don't
Obviously, it's a sci-fi.
Whenever I don't have a costume for Halloween, I just tell people that I'm a scion or whatever.
I keep waiting for it to happen. Every time I hear something that I'm afraid other people don't hear, I'm like, is this the moment? Cylon.
Yeah. Oh, Cylon. I said Scion. Yeah. That's a car.
No, that's a car.
Yeah. It's been a while since I did my Battlestar marathon.
So I've got a question for you then, because you're into sci-fi. Would you say original or next generation?
I really only am very familiar with the original.
Okay.
I'm not going to, this is a very deep brag. I got to be a part of the, was it the 40th or 30th anniversary of Star Trek: A Voyage Home, which is the one with the whales? Do you guys remember? It was the original cast of the movie.
80s, yeah.
And Leonard Nimoy directed it. And then at the Javits Center in New York City, they did a reenactment of it during a Star Trek like con, you know what I mean? And so all Star Trek actors came and had the main roles. And then they brought me in to do all of the under fives. So I got to do all the under five because it was like a reading. And I mean, I didn't go to a friend's wedding for it. And she was like, she goes, I understand. This is you. And I literally was like a dream come true. I don't even know what the word is.
Yeah, the only thing that would have made it better is a little bit of premium.
Yeah. Okay. I know that you've smoked marijuana.
I have,
right?
yeah.
Leah, have you ever smoked pot?
Do you still smoke marijuana?
Not really. I don't know. It's just not. I'm already tired. You know, like I don't need more.
It really makes me I'm already super anxious, and it just really, I'm just a paranoid person.
Yeah, I wish it didn't. I'm glad to meet someone else. I'm meeting more and more people that have that. We tried a 420 episode because we thought it would be funny, and 15 minutes into it, I became just nonverbal and trapped myself in an internal hell.
Right? You're just
And then
sitting
I was
here
like,
and
this
I
is
hate when
terrible
that
for an
happens.
audio.
you're literally
Internal
just
hells
like,
are the worst kind of hell.
they are the worst kind of
really
External
tough.
hell, you're like, check out where we're
all
partying.
together.
And then you're like,
Yeah.
am I dying? Is that a heart attack? I have to call somebody. And then I'm always like, who's going to take care of my parents? It's like a slow spiral.
And it gets out of control. It revs up. I always feel like my brain's moving too fast for my mouth to keep up. So then I shut down. And then 6 minutes later, I go, has it been an hour since I spoke?
I did a show, and I mean, I haven't smoked it has been at least 2 decades. And I did a show it was like a sound studio, but it was sponsored by a weed company. And I just didn't think about it, but that it was going to be a locked in area. And I was on stage and everybody was smoking. And I got off stage and I had to drive back to LA, and I got in my car and I was like, and then literally I like went exactly back to the place I was where the last time I got high, like a cop car went by and I was like, I literally yelled, it's the cops! And then I just walked to a Pollo Loco parking lot and got like 60 pieces of chicken. I was like, are you the same person you were 20 years ago? Like,
There's
calm
so
it
many
down.
weed
Then I
shows
walked to a
now.
gas station
Yes.
and stood by the pumps.
I know what calms me down.
Just give me some rubber
Mama
cement
Sticks.
and put it in the bottom of a chip bag. I'll tape it to my face. It's just so funny. I'm really a paranoid person.
Yeah,
So
in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I went to go see a show at a dollar theater, and I'd forgot what was on. I was trying to shoot something and write a bit about Wilson Phillips, so I had it on loop, just
as one
listening to
does.
it, and forgot. And I was like, I tried to hit this bowl, and then I was like, I'm going to be at the movie theater in a block. I'll go ahead and do another one. And by the time I got to my car, I think I'd gotten a phone call. There was a delay. And then I got in the car, and I was like, fuck, driving is hard. And it was just, hold on. For way too long for me to drive a block. So, and I remember getting to the parking lot, and I got ready to get out, and I heard 2 guys by a truck, and the guy's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure we got him. And I was like, oh, they know. And I got in and laid my chair back until they were no longer a thing.
I feel like I'm so jealous of those people who are just fun and have fun. You're like, oh, why am I not fun?
Right, but
you know
the
what I
weird
mean?
thing is, you tell someone the stories when you freak out. I had a buddy that was like, I ate an edible and lost my mind, and the next day he was popping them, and I was like, what are you doing, Joe? And he goes, I want to lose my mind.
I feel like everybody has such a different base level that like I'm surprised that like so many people do smoke, because like everybody starts at such a different place and somehow most of them end up as enjoyable people. But like I don't. That's not me. Like, so many weed shows now where like you get a contact high just from performing.
Yes.
And then I will say I'm usually like I'm actually more comfortable if like I've got a little contact high at a weed show, but I then I'm so comfortable that I get like uncomfortable about why am I so comfortable?
No one should be this comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah, that's when you're like not worried and you're like, what am I missing right now?
Like,
I should worry about
This is the third
something.
time I've told this joke.
Because you used to spread weed seed around the mountains.
Yeah.
I know. I got it out of my system, I guess.
I do feel like it's the only drug that for some reason there's a bullheadedness in my brain that's like, you should be able to do this. It's not that strong.
You're like, yeah, you know, like
I have no idea why it's there.
my hair looks like this. I should be a weed guy.
Right.
Well, here's a question for, since you talk about how that's changed over time for you or whatever, what is something in recent memory that you feel like you've changed your mind about?
Ooh.
Either of you.
I love the silence air on a podcast.
I know. I mean, we can edit it out.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just going to go ahead and get it started. I've realized just throughout this episode that if I am attacked by bees, I'm taking my pants off because that's how you get away faster.
You got to go into water first.
Yeah.
Or immediately after.
Do you also own your own pond?
Probably.
No,
Koi pond
Waiting
over
for
here.
the royalties from the pod.
I think the thing I've changed my mind on recently is it used to not bother me when people were vaping, and now I get so fucking mad. I fucking hate it so much because I get like I feel like I'm getting like the gas, like I'm standing there getting the little nicotine buzz or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Secondary, but I don't like it. This is a new question, by the way, that we haven't ever tried
it's a
before.
great question.
It is. I feel like this is the one you should have been give us a heads up.
Yeah, I know. I also wonder, am I a jerk enough to refuse to change my mind? Because I'm like, this is the opinion I came in on.
Right for so long.
Since the beginning, I have been correct.
Did you not hear when I said my parents were potters?
Yeah.
You know, I will. This is very Brussels sprouts. That's an easy one. I'm gonna throw that out. And
Wait, you used to like them or you do now?
I did not like them, and now I'm like, oh, these have qualities.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the world just learned how to cook Brussels sprouts like 10 years ago.
because they were making them mushy, and now you
Yeah.
can make them.
Boiled Brussels sprouts,
Yeah,
still gross.
like the ones I had when I was a kid, it was like, well, what we used to season these is water
Yes.
and salt.
Yeah, that's why I feel like they were always mushy.
Yeah, like they didn't understand that you needed some sort of acidity in them, like some lemon or some apple cider vinegar. You can do more than just clean the counters with it.
Or take a shot every morning. I also noticed. I was reading. I really like Kurt Vonnegut, and I remember,
Kurt Vonnegut.
right? He's so fucking funny, and he also like talks about all the hard things that I think is comic. Like I see him as so much of a comic, and I remember that I read him in high school, and I was like, I don't get it. I don't get why people like it. I don't get why it's funny. I just feel sad. How is this? You know what I mean? Because he has his own writing style. And now I'm like, I think about it. I'm like, how did you not? But I think my sense of humor has changed so much.
Oh yeah,
And more, you're like much more comfortable with like talking about death all the time. You know what I mean? But I remember thinking, oh, I don't like this. I didn't get it.
well, I think Slaughterhouse 5 or whatever was the first. That's what it's called, right?
Yes,
Is it 5?
yeah. And I feel like that's what you read in high school.
Yeah, and that was the first thing I read. And I'm not gonna lie, that's his most famous work and probably my least favorite. I don't know. I mean, it's all right, but I don't like the way that the story isn't linear and that I don't know.
That it lose. I like that because then you're like, I feel so like how he thinks about time.
Yeah, everybody's got their own cup of tea, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was like a tougher one to go through in high school, but I do love me some Kurt Vonnegut.
I feel like you get much more comfortable with being uncomfortable the longer you do comedy. You know what I mean? The more you're like, I like somebody who is living in this place.
My girlfriend's also a big Vonnegut fan, and I want to read it, but she got like a comic version of Slaughterhouse
Oh, really?
5. Yeah, that's like a graphic novel format. And she said it was
Very
really good.
interesting.
I haven't checked it out yet, but
I feel like that's up my. I barely finished high school. Like I just GED'd my way out. And
Yeah, me too.
All this reading and this always happens to me. People are like, "Oh, you remember when you?" No, I didn't read it. I wouldn't even if I had stayed.
I forced myself to read it. It's such terrible ADD that it would take me so long. Like I would start reading something and then I would space off and then I'd go back and then I'd space off and I go, it's been an hour and I'm not through this page. Like I don't understand how people are doing this.
On changing. Just in the last few months, I finally started trying to think of how I'm supposed to take care of myself. Every other adult my age actually exercises or thinks about what they eat or whatever. But it started in December. I was doing a festival in Vermont. They got us passes to go snowboarding. And I grew up snowboarding, and so I was more confident than I should have been. And Cotton Edge went down, broke my nose, and tore my MCL.
Oh, wow.
And,
Oh, my God.
And now I'm afraid of things. I feel like my body is needs to be taken care of, and so I started running. I kind of care about what I eat, and I just drink a little less. And my girlfriend's like, "Wow, you're really doing great."
it's amazing how just cutting down a few drinks. I mean, that's something I've changed my mind on looking at this whiskey. I used to think Jameson was good. I don't anymore. I'm like, oh, it tastes like sugar drink.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just
Kool-Aid?
not a fan. Yeah. But no.
All right.
Awesome.
You want to start getting into the button down?
Yeah, we've got 7 minutes left.
Yeah.
So,
So I'm going to do some randoms here. So these are questions that may or may not have a whole lot to do with anything. You just pick an answer, right? So whatever flies at your head.
I immediately got nervous.
Yeah. East Coast, West Coast.
East.
Okay.
East.
I'm sorry, California, but I mean, I can't change who I am.
Hair gel or hairspray?
Spray.
Gel.
Okay. What are you most likely to use in your vernacular? Man, dude, or bro?
Dude. I feel like that's an age thing.
Yeah. Bed, bath, or beyond?
Oh, bed. Yeah.
All right.
I can't even handle the first two. I don't want to go beyond.
I don't like baths. But does the Beyond include some of the candles? They have some great Christmas scents.
Or they did.
All up to interpretation.
Oh, shit. That's right.
Do either of you own or have you played with crystals?
No.
No?
You haven't yet.
There's a lot
I will
of.
not.
They
That's
both
like
looked
one-
at each other and was like, no.
I literally phase out. I'm happy to get excited for people who are excited, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, I can no longer take anything you say seriously.
Having grown up religious, I'm I get when you believe in things that are insane. I get that's something for you, but just don't talk to me about it.
Do either of you own tie-dye?
Tie-dye? No.
Tie-dye.
I do, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
What is it?
I have a Led Zeppelin shirt that's actually, I went to church camp many times, but we used to do our own tie-dyes, and I still have one of the shirts. And then I have when I moved to Los Angeles, I was like, I'm gonna get a crop top because that was some kind of a dream I had. I'm gonna move to Los Angeles. I'm gonna fucking get a dog, and I will wear a crop top, and not
Did you
like
get a
full
dog?
crop. Yeah, immediately.
What kind of dog?
She's like a. She looks like a deer, so I don't.
It's just a jug of gas.
I keep her away from gas. I take such good care of her. She goes to the doctor regularly. She's got her shots. I don't even know what I've had. Do I have tetanus? I don't know.
You grew up in a barn. Who knows?
But I take very good care of her. She's gorgeous. She's I think she's a Chihuahua pit. She was a street dog.
Okay.
Oh, so I got the crop top, which it's not really a crop. It's just not down to my knees, but that's also tie-dye.
Okay. I think I know the answer for you. Pooh Bear or Piglet?
I I don't know what that means, but I have no interest in either.
You got to pick one. That's all that matters.
I say piglet.
Piglet.
Only because nobody
because-
knows what the gender was.
I would say Piglet too, but I feel like we were talking about how he doesn't have pants on.
Well, that's why he said we already know for you.
But I also feel like he's just walking
I'm
around.
mostly Piglet, but if bees are around, I'm a Pooh Bear for sure.
I also feel like he really. I'm just not into. No disrespect to the Pooh Bear community. I just don't know a lot about it. I feel like doesn't he just walk around obsessed with honey?
Is this where you go, oh, I need to do research first?
I just don't know. I feel like I should be making an informed
I don't
decision.
think it would be right to make a decision at this point without knowing more.
I feel like you already totally know my personality. That is correct. I don't know their personality traits enough to make an informed decision. These are one of the things I missed in my childhood. I completely missed it.
Very excited what you've chosen to take a stand on.
I do like pigs, though. I also like bears.
Do you need us for this part?
I'm just going to work it out on my own.
Shoes. Do either of you wear open-toed shoes? Sandals, flip-flops?
No.
No.
Have either of you ever spent a large amount of time barefoot?
With or without pants?
Are we including in the house?
We're talking more like outside.
More outside.
I mean, of course I have.
Growing
Yeah,
up,
I mean, I'm looking at you like, come on. We know that you didn't put shoes on every time you left the barn.
I'm lucky I don't have bugs in my feet right now. Come on
I grew
now.
up like in suburbs, and I still I walked around barefoot, and I just thought it was normal, and everybody else had shoes on. And I'm just like, well, I'm not going anywhere. It's just like walking across the street like barefoot all the time, and I just thought it was normal.
I think it is normal, though. Why would you not?
I feel weird about it now, so I feel like it's not
That's
normal.
because you're in New York.
That's true.
Yeah, if you're walking around barefoot in New York, you're
Every once in a while, I'll
tough.
go
You
to
don't
like
fuck
take
with that
the
person.
trash out, and like I don't want to put shoes on. My girlfriend's like, "What the fuck are you doing? You're leaving. You're walking out the door, and your shoes are not on. What are you? I'm just taking the trash out." She's like, "You're disgusting."
you need to get a pair of Crocs.
I don't hate myself.
I do. Once you go Croc though, that's what they're the best for. Walking out to take the trash out.
Losing friends.
Well,
I think we have time for one more. We have 2 minutes before we're going to make our decision.
well, and just real quick, where can everybody find you on social media and all that?
You can. I'm at the actual Bailey Pope on Instagram, or you can find like my dates and all links and everything at BaileyPopeComedy.com.
Hell yeah, and Leah.
On all my socials, I'm at Leah Bonnema, LeahBonnema, and my podcast I co-host is called Were You Raised by Wolves?
That sounds like it would be a sequel to Hippie, not Hippie.
Yeah, it sounds like there's maybe we have some overlap.
I'm obviously the wolf in the co-hosting situation.
Yeah, and as we said earlier, if you have fucking money, send it to Leah for a movie. So,
Yeah.
I said it to Leah. Leah should probably go to a primary care doctor first with your money, but first she's going to try to make a film.
You get the director's name first, and then your primary.
So, in case anyone's hit that deep voice. Make sure it's a robot.
God damn.
Hello. God.
Make sure and send all your money to Leah, or she will show up without pants and unload bees in your fucking home.
I feel guilty. I'm happy for just emotional support too. I really just love good compliments and positivity. Money is just very, nobody needs it. I mean, I need it, but
This is what it sounds like when I do actually smoke weed.
We do those voices a lot, and I realized it was the first episode we were about to get through it without doing it. It seemed unfair.
all right.
Do we want to do the countdown?
Yeah.
All right.
Figure out who's more hippie here. I think I've got my
I got a
answer.
pretty solid answer.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Leah.
I'm not gonna lie. I wanted deeply to say Bailey after we met because I was like, oh, I'm gonna find something.
Well, so this is my fun thing to remind. So technically, the definition of a hippie is being a part of a counterculture. So technically, punks are hippies.
Just more aggressive, you know?
Also, you walked across the street with no shoes.
Yeah,
Hey, the decision was made, okay?
I mean, I'm not
I
gonna
would
lie,
like to.
it's close. But the fact that you were raised in a barn,
It was also
You're
hard.
transporting soil in modern day.
yeah, you're moving compost secretively amongst LA. So
Also hard to battle bathtub buddies with the parents.
I legit thought
until you
everybody
were
did that.
35, I mean, come
I
on.
would keep doing it, but they've been like, you gotta let go.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast. Again, everybody, we're here live at the Vail Comedy Festival. It happens every Memorial Day weekend.
Every Memorial Day weekend.
Thank
If you're
you to
hearing
the
this
audience.
and didn't get a chance to go, please make sure and come out next year. And
Like, subscribe, review, do all that shit. And thanks for listening. Make sure and get on the motherfucking